So is Billy going to be in that tonight?
Yep, Villy in tonight, Neto in tomorrow. Yep, pretty basic. Both were getting the net. We had a little discussion on what made sense, on who gets the home game, who gets the road game, and that's what we came up with.
What's the dynamic like with that? Is it, or you talk to the goalies about things like that? Is that just you and your goalie coach? What's kind of the dynamic like when you discuss those things?
No, it's going to be a group. We'll start with the goalie coach, and then it'll be a staff decision, and then ultimately, like anything else, it'll fall on me. But this was a group decision. So, and again, I'm not saying it was an easy decision, but they're both getting the net within the next 48 hours.
Do you look much at opponent or like one guy's track record against?
Not yet. Maybe some little more, maybe in time, but yeah, nothing went into that at all. We talked about it yesterday quickly, and that's what we came up with.
You kind of mentioned it before, Derek. I think you kind of expect them to split the time here for the
Yes.
time being,
Okay.
whatever that might be.
I don't know what that's going to look like, but early on, we foresee both of them getting the net, a lot of the net, and probably an equal share of the net, and kind of let it play out from there. We want a healthy competition. It feels like it's playing out that way from preseason, the exhibition games, camp, and we'll start that way into the regular season.
What are you looking for most out of tonight in general? Is that starting the process? Is that kind of all those things we touched about during preseason? What does that look like?
I think the things we touched in preseason, being a tougher team to play against, defending better, keeping the puck out of our net. And this is a great challenge because they will put it in the net. As you saw the other night, they don't need a whole lot for offense. And if you give them easy offense, they're going to make you pay. So I think it's a good challenge for us tonight.
You personally, do you have a big cheering section coming for you?
No, just my family, my wife and 3 kids. So I said, enjoy it now. We're undefeated. So fans may not be as nice down the road. So enjoy it now.
We asked you this a few times the last few weeks, but I don't know, when introductions or this, during some sort of part of the ceremony or the Star Spangled Banner, you're gonna try to soak it in, just look around and just kind of like, wow, we made it.
Maybe, but I honestly, it's the first game. We have so much going on. I've probably given the guys a little too much, but we were fortunate to have an entire week to prepare for this game. You might see us maybe not as sharp early on, which is understandable. But with that said, I think it was valuable to get some things in. No, hopefully the soaking in will be, I don't know when it's going to be, but after that first win is the soak-in moment.
For the past season, Joel Villano was up and down a little bit between Grand Rapids and Detroit. What do you think will be missing for Joe to be a regular in the NHL?
An all-the-time guy, a harder guy. I think we asked him going into the preseason to be harder to play against, get those defensive stops, be responsible. He has some skill, so you can see some of that skill, and at times risking his game, even in the exhibition, which I think we've addressed. But he's done that, and he's earned himself tonight, and I will see what that looks like. I know, being with the Montreal media, you haven't been around with our exhibition process. I think him and Elmer are going to be in a similar situation. We're still evaluating. We need to get them significant minutes in the National Hockey League on a regular basis, or it would probably make more sense to give them significant roles in time in Grand Rapids. And this is the first look at that process.
Have you ever coached a line where the smallest guy is 6'3"?
No.
How fun is that for a coach?
It's good, and I think size matters at times. There's some possession. I know we had some of that experience with Pat Maroon in Tampa, where he just some of his identity is some zone time, spending some time with the puck, and those guys showed that in practice a little bit this week, and that's something we'll try to develop. All 3 to start, but whenever any of those guys have the puck, we want to be hard to play against. We want to be hard to defend against. And we haven't had that luxury here of late. We have a lot some speed, some skill. Though we haven't seemed to have that heavy or a lot of it. So this is an opportunity to give those guys a look, and hopefully they'll play to that identity, get some zone time, and help us win the positional battle a little bit.
Is Kopp a guy you envision playing in all situations, power play, PK, and just how much value does that add when you can have a guy like that?
Extremely valuable. I think that's why he was so strongly pursued by us in free agency. And again, those things we want to improve on, our penalty kill, our team defense, he's done that throughout his career, and it's important to him. So I think that's why he's going to be valuable for us.
Besides the defensive game in the league that's going more offensive, and is it especially important for you guys in a position that is extremely offensive?
It's non-negotiable for us, and it's a great question because where the league's at, but I think more personally where we were at. And again, you guys follow the league every day. I mean, we were 30 to 32 in every defensive category, every single one. So it's going to be a point of emphasis for us, 100%. And consistency with it. It's hard to play like that. It's hard to defend all the time, and that's what we're going to ask of the guys.
To the goalies for a second. I know it's a roster building type of question, but traditionally we used to say that it starts with finding a good goalie that'll make the saves and whatnot, and then you build from that point on. Do you feel as though the way the game has evolved and how difficult it is to find bona fide number ones in this day and age, that basically you have to start at other positions and finish with finding your bona fide number one goalie?
Well, I think sometimes just a cycle you may be within that organization and hitting it. We're in the process of that right now. We have two guys that we think have upside. We have two guys that have shown some success, not over years, but have shown some success in this league that we want to feed off each other. But I mean, you got to get that position. Like, I came from a previous experience where we finally became great when that position was solidified, and that's our goal. And as you even mentioned it, that's the goal of most teams, and it's hard to get.
Coach, what Ben Sherratt will bring to Maurice Island as a partner?
Managing his game, defending for him, a calmness to his game. I think one of Ben's best attributes, beyond his willingness to keep the puck out of the net, is how simple his game is. I mean, you guys have experienced it, and when Montreal had that run to the Stanley Cup Finals, those they were hard to play against. They were simple. They weren't flashy. They weren't always up in the rush. Ben has that in his game, and I think that's going to be a good example and a good compliment for Mo.
Do you think for a game to still have a kind of a old school D-man like him?
You have to. You really do. And especially for us, what we talked about of trying to improve those defensive numbers. You call it old school. I just think it's what you value. And for Ben Sherratt, he values keeping it out of our net. And we're going to need that on our 5-on-5 play. We're going to need that on our penalty kill.
You guys been off all week, and now you got back-to-back and 3 and 4. I mean, that's a pretty good stiff test early on.
Yes, but I think because you see around the league, a lot of teams have that back-to-back early on, and a lot of teams, I just think that's the way. We're just starting a little bit later. But with that said, we had some time to prepare for it, knowing we had the week. You could even see practice where Monday and Tuesday were very hard practices, and we backed off that, preparing for the big picture, which was the 3 and 4.
Landing on how you want to handle the alternate captains.
We're going to have Sherratt and Perron today, and we'll rotate 2 new guys in tomorrow. And again, that's going to be a work in progress. That could be months, that could be weeks, that could be days. And I think in a good way, it's complicated because we have options. And I think it will take a little more time simply because Kopp has not been in he's been injured, not in games. We foresee him being a big part of that, and he hasn't been part of our everyday team yet.
Actually make that choice. Is that something that needs to be done? Is that like, because obviously some teams rotate them, some teams have a set group. Is it important to have a set, this guy has an A?
Yes and no. One, I think it's important. It's been our sport for a long time. But I think the importance of leadership is immense. And every team that wins or starts to have success, you can point right to it comes out of the room. Now, with that said, I think you need to build a leadership group. And so there'll be many guys not wearing the letter that are going to be a huge part of what we're trying to do with our leadership. So yes, it's very important wearing a letter, but it's not as important at times because of how many guys you're going to ask to fill that role.
What was the coaching staff's message to the players specifically heading into tonight?
We're ready. Now, again, does that always translate? I don't know, but they have done the proper work in camp. We've probably given a little bit too much, which happens. That's coaching across the league usually. But you even see yourself what we've tried to work on, they've done. I think I saw a stat where, again, it's preseason, different opponents, different lineups, star veteran type players getting what they want out of the exhibition, but we led the league in expected goals against average, which is a far cry from being a historically bad defensive team. So that's them trying to do what we've asked of them. Now let's try to translate it into the regular season.